What do you think of the transfers so far? Who do you think's had the best window so far?
The best window. Obviously, the window is not closed, even though the league's about to start. The best window. You know what? Even though they've spent lavishly and they're now literally just before we started got a notification that they're in talks for 2 Man City players, up there is Spurs. Whether they do well or not is a different story. But I think they've spent like nearly about 229 mil or some jazz. And literally the news was that they're trying to do a double deal for Savinho and Marmoush from Man City. So, yeah. Literally.
Wow.
Obviously, we've seen Savinho all summer, the talks, and they tried to get him last summer. But then the Marmoush part caught me off guard. And we know City aren't going to sell cheap in that sense. Marmoush hasn't been there for long, so he's still got a lot on his contract. Savinho, literally 2 years as well. I think his contract's till 2031. So, yeah, Spurs can have a claim as one of the clubs with the best windows. Again, 100 mil on Tonali. Excessive, but he's a very good player. We've seen him in the Prem. Mateus Fernandes, 85 mil. Again, overpay, but he's a good player, even though he's been back-to-back relegated years. Van Hecker at from Brighton, 52 million. I think Senesi on a free, which I believe was a good pickup from Bournemouth. Andy Robinson from Liverpool, obviously that experience factor. So that might help change in terms of mentality. So like they've spent excessively again, and they look like they're not continue. As De Zerbi said a couple of weeks ago, he wants the continued bombers coming in, incoming signings. So, and they're not playing in Champions League, innit? So, or Europe, sorry, actually, completely. So they've got a chance, like Chelsea, to obviously concentrate on the league, but really make noise. Do you know what I mean? Really, like it's in a way because of the way Spurs are spending. They have to make Champions League, basically, get Champions League football. And their signings have to reflect that, do you know what I mean? And I'd probably say Chelsea has been okay, but do you know what I mean? I feel the same for you guys. If Arsenal had got Vinny, then I feel like no matter what anyone else done, your window would have won anyway. And do you know what I mean? Like, you lot have agreed a deal for Konza today, Ezri Konza from Aston Villa. So that's just more defensive reinforcements. In that sense, obviously, you've got Bruno Guimaraes, very good midfield signing as well. Zolis, it'll be interesting to see how he adapts to the Prem. He's obviously been having a good pre-season. But I feel like you guys are still at least one attacker away. I.e., you're starting 9 effectively. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, you lot dismantled City in the Community Shield, but are you as a fan confident as Havertz and Gyökeres as your strikers for the season?
Do you know what? I'm not confident, but I'm okay with it just because I know we score goals by committee, and that's how it's going to be at Arsenal. We don't have the outstanding 9 that's going to win us the game by himself, essentially, and he's going to score us all these goals. We don't have a 15 to 20 goal scorer, number 9. So it's always done by committee, and I feel like that's the way our team's built. So that's why I'm confident, because they're both very different 9s. They're both used for very different games and very different roles. And I feel like Gyökeres this year should come into his own, obviously. I feel like he's learned how to work within the system. Like, he'll know where he can get the goals from. And I feel like we spent a boatload of money on him, so he should be the guy. Do you get what I mean? He should be the guy that really takes the reins this season. He's had his first season in the Prem. Okay, cool. You've seen it. You've won it. Like, those were your stepping stones. We now need you to be the man. So I feel like, look, we have the team to be able to give these 2 strikers an opportunity. So I'm not too mad about us not getting a 9. I would love to get a world-class number 9 in, but how many world-class number 9s are there out there? And are they coming to Arsenal? That's what you got to ask yourself. So it's very, very difficult. But for me, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it right now. Obviously, we're making defensive reinforcements, more midfield reinforcements. Attacking options has been our problem, and it's still probably going to be our problem. But again, if we can win games 1-0, if we can do the same thing as we did last season, then that's fine, essentially. But the Man City game in the Community Shield did give me confidence in seeing that the goals are going to come by committee because they did in that game, and I feel like that's how it's going to be throughout the season.
Fair. No, that's fair. And I'll probably say, I think Man United, if we can close Belieber, that's come up today, even though he's going to be out for the next few weeks, I was always like, when his injury got announced last week or 2 weeks ago or something, I think it was like an ankle injury. I was like, as long as it's not long term and the price, the overpay on price isn't there, because last summer Brighton wanted 100 mil from us, and you could say we arguably stepped back. I mean, arguably, step back on that one, even though he did seem like a key player to potentially come in last summer. So, if we can close out Belieber within the next couple of days or next week, I think we'd be up there with in terms of our transfer, because that's 3 midfielders we brought in. So we've effectively finally replaced our whole midfield to now join Kobe. That's 3 midfielders of around 150 million. Whereas we wanted Elliot Anderson 160 million. That would have taken away most of that budget. We wanted Mateus Fernandes 85 million. We signed Santos and Tielemans for the Fernandes price. Do you know what I mean? So, and backing out from Edison has now been, obviously, if we can close the Belieber door, I think us in that sense, we obviously need a left back. That's without a doubt, innit? And it seems like the reports are the club still want Lewis Hall, all this jazz, but I think Newcastle ain't budging, also the price, etc. But we definitely need a left back. It's stepping stones, because we definitely need centre back as well. But I feel like we can wait till next year for that one. Because we kind of got no choice. We've got more pressing priorities. Like, literally, we entered pre-season with 1 midfielder in Kobe Mino. Do you know what I mean? First team. Like, in terms of first team midfielders, Ugarte's on the books, but he done his ACL in the World Cup. We saw Casemiro. Then obviously we've got Santos and Tielemans done over the last 6 weeks. Tielemans was nearly 6 weeks ago. So it's just, I think we've had a good window once we close out Belieber, and if we can sign a left back, it'll be a great window for us. But because we can't go into the season with basically Luke Shaw. We spoke about on the United episode. It's just like, bro, we're back in Champions League. Like, we need quality and depth in terms of a squad. Like, and not to say mirror Arsenal, but that's what Arsenal have at the back, especially, and in midfield. Do you know what I mean? So, like, we've got the quality now once Belieber's wrapped up in midfield, and we've actually got depth in attacking areas. Like, regardless of if Xerxes goes or not, we either bring in another striker, or we've got enough. Like, even if Sesko's not playing, we saw Mbeumo play up top a lot last season. We know Cunha can do it as well. We know Rashford can do it if Rashford's going to stay. So we've got the attacking options, to be fair. Like, the squad's looking more healthy. It's looking more healthy. But we have to see Belieber over the line, and we have to get a left back. So I'd say probably Tottenham. Arsenal didn't need to do too much because they're champions and the squad's solid, very solid already. So I'd say Arsenal to an extent. Obviously, if they, again, had Vinny, it would have been them outright. And I'd say us, Man United in that sense. And then just on the promoter clubs, we spoke about Sunderland last year, how brave they were with their spending in the window. I think we have to give credit to the likes of even Hull to a lesser extent. They haven't spent as much as the other two, but Hull. But Ipswich and Coventry, they're giving it a go this off-season.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, they are.
They're giving it a go this off-season. So, and you actually have to now. Like, it's hard because obviously what Sunderland done was an anomaly. They not only stayed up, they've got Europe. Do you know what I mean? So, but then we saw like how strong Leeds became, or Leeds were generally they were in the relegation battle, and then towards the end of the season they just left Spurs and West Ham into their battle by themselves, innit? Do you know what I mean? And now they've brought in the likes of James Trafford, Harry Wilson. So like they're building because of their them staying up. Whereas these teams coming up, they're kind of following Sunderland's model. Like, yo, we really need to spend and bring in quality. So I'd say shout out the promoter clubs on their approach.
I'd agree. I'd want to say big up Brentford as well in their window. I feel like they've made a few underrated signings in terms of like Jaden Anthony coming in, Callum Wilson coming in, a few more players around that level where they're going to keep them in their good stead. You know, Brentford aren't ever going for much, but, you know, it could be a case where they want to push for a European spot, European Conference League spot. So I feel like Brentford always do smart business. They're a very smart business savvy football club. So I want to big up them as well.
On
there's clubs
Brentford,
that haven't...
on Brentford, they broke their record for record signing Mamadou Sangare from Lens,
Yes.
the central
Yes,
midfielder.
that was a serious signing as well, by the way. That was a serious, very underrated signing, which I think just got brushed under the rug because everything else was happening. Everyone's being bought for 100 mil, and this and that. But I feel like he'll be one of them players that really, really stands out. And it's a Brentford signing which is similar to what a Brighton signing used to be, where they're signing you, but you're probably going to be sold in like 2 years. Or if you have a good year this year, you'll probably be sold to a top 6 club. So, but I do like the business they've been doing down there as well. Some clubs I'm just a bit wary of what they're doing. Crystal Palace, I don't know what they're doing. They're in Europe now and Europa League, so I really don't see the business that's going on there that's going to help them. They've done a swap deal with Brennan Johnson and Dwight McNeil. Like, you spent loads of money on Brennan Johnson, it didn't work out for you.
I said this to someone the other day. I was like, even though Brennan Johnson didn't have a good spell at Palace at all, how have they not got a fee? Even if you're doing a swap, like Dwight McNeil's value is no more than 20 million. Like, obviously you probably were desperate to get him off your books, but they should have still got at least a 10 million fee. Do you know what I mean? That surprised me.
Something.
Yeah.
Something. It's something. Because I've not liked Palace's business, especially as they're in Europe. I'm like, you got a new manager now, but you need to sign players. And you have that pool of being in London, but it's not, I don't know why it's not working for you right now. Do you know what I mean? Because if you can't go to the Arsenals, the Chelseas, I was about to say the Fulhams, Arsenal, Chelsea, the Tottenhams, and you might have more pull than the Tottenham right now just because you're in Europe, and they're not. I know they're spending a hell of a lot of money, but you might have more pull than the Tottenham, and you definitely have more pull than the Fulham right now because of your status in Europe. Like, why is your business not looking similar to a Brentford's type of business? Why is it not looking good? So Palace are the one team I'm a bit wary of going into the season because I don't see them doing anything. And it's like, last year, yes, you stayed in the Premier League because there's teams that were very, very bad. Do you get what I mean? And you won the Europa Conference League, which was your main focus. But this year, realistically, you're not going to win the Europa League. You might do, actually, because, you know, it's a competition. But realistically, you're not going to win the Europa League. So you need to figure out what you're doing in the Premier League. And I don't think their squad is good enough. And I do feel like later on into this window, people are going to come for their players. As in Wharton, Mateta. I feel like people are going to be going out the door. You already lost a centre-half. Lequoir's already gone to Chelsea.
Ismaïla Sarr, who's arguably their best player. Apparently Galatasaray are really in for him today. And Sarr's interested in the move as well. So
He would be. He can play like Champions League football, I guess, and, you know, doesn't have to... He probably enjoys being the main man, but he's always needed that big move, and it's never really happened. He's kind of stayed at the same sort of Premier League type clubs, obviously being at Watford for as long as he was, and then moving to Palace was like, he was meant to go to Man United at one point, I remember, or Man United were interested in him at one point, and obviously he comes to Palace, and then he's doing his thing at Palace. But I feel like for him, that move to Galatasaray will help him a lot, and it will be the move he probably wants to. You know, Turkey's massive right now. They got world-class football players over there. They're spending a hell of a lot of money, so why not? So Palace need to watch out. They need to watch out because their business hasn't been too good. And Villa are another one where they're just letting everyone go. they're bringing in people, but it's not the same quality of people that you're letting go that you're bringing in. And you're playing Champions League. Like your Ollie Watkins is probably going to leave. He wants to go Saudi. Konza's leaving. Martinez, the goalkeeper, he wants to leave every summer, every window he wants to leave. So we don't know if he's gone yet. Do you get what I
To be
mean?
fair, Martinez they've replaced with Suzuki, the Japanese keeper.
Yes,
so
I did see that.
That's a good pickup. But what you said on Villa, sorry to cut you off, like that's you said Martinez, Konza, they've lost Morgan Rogers, they've lost Tielemans. Like
Dinier's gone.
Yep. Onana's out. He done ACL in World Cup. So like that's their spine gone completely. If Watkins goes, do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, because I said a couple of weeks ago, I was like, I actually think, it was after the Super Cup against PSG or during the Super Cup. I said, I think Villa will be fine. I trust Emery now, like in terms of what he's done. And he just seems to, whatever kind of players come in, for instance, he can make them really, really good, get the team playing well, obviously, in terms of Manzambi, João Gomez. But then, like he said, now it's too much, the outgoings.
Yes. It's like, I thought it was going to stop. It's just continued. Like I was thinking, you're going to have to keep someone. Obviously, they're probably going to bring Aaron, Aaron Wan-Bissaka on loan.
Yeah, I've seen that one as well, actually.
So he'll probably be joining on loan, which will probably help them defensively. But it's still a case of you're losing your team. Do you get what I mean? You're really losing your team. You've lost your best players. Like Buendia, when you're lucky you kept Buendia. You're replacing them with players like Manzambi and Gomez, but Gomez got relegated. I like him, obviously. I love him at Wolves, but he got relegated last year. Manzambi's new to the Premier League. You're trusting a young striker, which I feel like he's going to be great, but you're trusting in a young striker. You know we can have ups and downs. So it's going to be an interesting season, especially as you're playing Champions League. So I wouldn't be surprised if they try to make a few more signings if they can, but it seems like we spoke about it before. They don't have the money to make the real big signings anymore. So like they're gonna have to get loans in. Like if I'm them, I'm phoning Arsenal today and asking for Wanyeri on loan. I'm asking for specific players on loan that I feel like aren't gonna play for their squads. Do you get what I mean? But it depends. But Villa are the one that I'm out of the top six, the big six, I'm worried about in terms of like what their business looks like.
Oh, from the big six from last season,
Yeah.
I'd say that. And do you know what? Somewhat Liverpool as well, because they've lost a lot of older heads or players that weren't performing as well. But like their quality and depth in their squad, I'm not sure. Obviously, they're still chasing Barcola if they can get that over the line, but it's looking like that's going to be very expensive. Like that'll be a good signing regardless. They've still got quality in the likes of Isaac. Do you know what I mean? He's one of the best strikers in the league. You got Szoboszlai, who's been on form for the last couple of years now. Van Dijk's Van Dijk. Alisson's Alisson, but Alisson injury prone, older. Van Dijk, he's just getting older, but he managed to play every game last season. So Liverpool, like, I don't know. I rate Iraola, but I don't know what I wouldn't put them in the upper echelon of teams with the best windows this off season.
Nah, I just feel like because they signed such a good manager, that helps them a lot. I think the managerial signing for them was super key. And that's going to feel like £100 million signing for that football club, essentially. That manager coming in is going to feel like that for them. So I feel like I'm not worried about Liverpool because of last year, the injuries and people signing and just not living up to their potential. I feel like we'll see. This year we'll see. Because it's going to be a whole new system, a whole new team. We know Iraola likes to play a high intensity style of football. We saw him at Bournemouth. So it's going to be interesting. And obviously, do you know what? Bournemouth, I don't know about their business either, but they're always a steady kind of working team. I know Krupi's out for a while, so that's a problem because I feel like he would have been gone if he was fit. And I still feel like someone might buy him anyway, injured. But it's just, I don't know if they're reaching that 100 million valuation that Bournemouth probably want for him.
Well, apparently Spurs were the club the day before he got injured that were going to do it. Like, that was one of their players to press the trigger on. So, another club kind of like Villa, Newcastle. Newcastle have lost a
Yeah,
lot of their big players this summer. Again, Gordon at the beginning, well, before the World Cup, Tonali, Bruno G. So they've cashed in, but
mm,
that's three of your outright starters, arguably three of your best players. You bringing in a bit of unknowns. I think in Bazumana Toure. Sorry.
yeah,
Like I think the right back from Dedic is coming. That's the new manager's first signing. It's like from Benfica. Sorry, it's like whoa, like
mm,
all Newcastle gave it a go the last couple years, obviously with their owners and stuff. But then like Villa, they were restricted with financial fair play, and then Newcastle actually gave it a go, trying to get big players last summer. The players just chose other clubs, and
yeah,
now PIF, Saudi, their regime, etc. They've now concentrating on non-sporting factors, like they're
mm,
concentrating on the tourism aspect, etc. So it just seems like Newcastle, their hire was like a very minimal, and it's just bringing them really back down to earth. Obviously, they got a leak up out of it. Do you know what I mean? But it could be a peak season for them, like whereas
yeah.
and potentially a bottom half of the table side, which I think they were last season anyway. But like at least last season they were playing in Champions League and playing in the knockout rounds. Do you know what I mean? So
I agree. Good. That's why I say the Premier this year is going to be so interesting because
mhm,
the teams coming up look like they want to fight to stay in the Premier League. We know there's that group of teams at the bottom of the table that weren't great last year, but have also bought and built on what they were to kind of stay in the Premier League.
mhm,
So like this year, why I feel like it's interesting is because I always talk about that gap between the champ and the Prem and the top teams in the champ coming up to the Prem. I feel like the teams that are coming up, like Ipswich, for instance, they may have learned their lesson. Coventry, they just need to stay in the Premier League, for instance. They've not been here
mhm.
for so long. They need to stay in the Premier League. You can see them going all out. And Hull, they've been here before. And hey, Hull's not a great place in general to be or to live, but it's
Hey.
it's not. It's not. Everyone has said it. Do you get what I mean? But you get what I mean. It's a Premier League side, and
Mhm.
if people want to play Premier League, they just who'd they sign from Celtic? Kamada?
uh,
Yeah, Kamada, the striker, right? Maeda.
Maeda, if
Amzi.
I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the striker from. So Hull have made signings that will surprise people, and I feel like Hull may be the surprise, but like it's going to be interesting because I feel like they've closed the gap in terms of that bottom window to the top of the champ
Mhm.
just because of the signings they're able to make and the players that want to come to these clubs.
I'm trying to think. I don't think it was Hold that side Maeda.
Who
I'm
was it?
looking.
I might be bugging. It was someone who just got promoted. Was it Leeds or
Yeah,
not?
it was Ipswich.
Well, Ipswich, yeah.
It was actually Ipswich. So yeah.
Yeah. I remember
Yeah.
seeing it and I was like,
Like Ipswich, I mean, they've given it a go. Obviously, in
yep,
Cisco, we spoke Fatawu, Maeda, Lukic and Diop from Fulham. So,
yep.
like, yeah, Hull's a tricky one. We've not spoke about them, who are arguably your main challengers because of last season. Man City. What do you think of Man City's window? Because they've lost obviously arguably the best midfielder in the Prem, and alongside the top two greatest managers in the Prem history, and then their captain of last season, Bernardo Silva as well, who
And
got much better towards the second half of the season.
yeah, for me, City aren't gonna be. I feel like they'll always be in and around it, just because of the quality they have, and they've got a Haaland, they've got a Shirky, they've got.
Mhm,
I've got to say, they got Elliot Anderson in there, they got the Foden, they got the Doku. They've still got these players, so you can't
mhm,
count them out. Do you get what I mean? Guardiola, Ruben Diaz, Donnarumma, like they've still got a serious squad. It's just I feel like their influence is so big, and it helped out the team so much. And Rodri now leaving is going to be a hole. They're going to have to relearn how to play football without Rodri. And you saw them without Rodri, what happens usually. They don't do
mhm.
much. So for me, their window hasn't been great because they've lost better players than they probably bought in.
Yep.
And okay, cool. You went and spent all this money on Elliot Anderson. For me and for you, I know he's a holding mid. Why have you spent that much money on a holding midfielder to pass the ball
And
sideways and backwards to keep the game ticking? And he's not Rodri. And you've got one there already gone.
and it looks like they're gonna. Well, I think apparently Newcastle are on him. Whether they let him go, Nico Gonzalez, is a different story. But if they, I say pull the trigger, but Bouadi, the young Moroccan centre mid defensive midfielder, is looking like 100 million euros. So for an 18-year-old defensive mid, 85 million pounds, with Elliot Anderson 160 mil. And that's arguably
It's
just saying
like,
replacing Rodri and Bernardo Silva. Do you know what I mean? And then
that's
Reinders
the
to an
thing.
extent, even though he wasn't.
But my thing is, I feel like what the Bernardo Silva sale was, or Bernardo Silva leaving, was for Phil Foden to come and take that role for the next 5 to 8 years. That's what I felt like should happen. And then I felt like, obviously, Elliot Anderson would eventually take the role when Rodri left. I didn't think Rodri was going to leave now. So
Yeah.
Rodri is now left and Elliot Anderson is now in that role straight away. So they've essentially got a new midfield three. Obviously, Shirky's going to be in there as well. But they've got a new midfield three. They've got a new manager. Their window's not been great because they've lost better players than they've brought in. And the manager they've lost is near enough the greatest of all time. And you brought in a manager that won the championship and then got to move to Chelsea. You go, I mean, that's about it. So it's going to be interesting. But for me, City will always be in and around it just because of the players they have. But this could be the year that they fall out of the title race, essentially. I think they could fall out of the title race. It could be Arsenal or someone else.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with that one.